Hello everyone, how you guys are doing? All of a sudden,
Yeah, that's usually something you should do.
don't know. My phone just wants to do its own thing. So, hey everyone, welcome on in. So I want to know, can you solve this question? So the times and seconds for 6 recruits to complete an obstacle course is 45, 52, 48, 60, 50, and 59. What is the median time? So is it A, 49, B, 50, C, 51, or D, 52? So as we're taking a look at this, and if you think you know the answer, go ahead and put it in the comments. If you're like, I don't know, make a guess and put a question mark at the end. And if you're just like, I have no idea where to start, just put a question mark into the chat. Okay? So I don't want you to just go wildly guessing because that's not going to help you. Okay? So what I do is I break down concepts step by step that you usually will see in any Algebra 1 or Algebra 2 class, especially since school has just started. Also, you'll see it in your GED, your ASVAB, your Accuplacer, your TEAS test, your HESI test, any kind of standardized exam that has algebra in it. So what I do here is I go through it step by step. All right? So Weeper, I see you, or Reaper if you don't want to have the W in there. Thank you so much for your answer. If you guys think you know what it is, go ahead and put it into the chat. Okay? If you're not sure, I'm going to go over it step by step regardless. Okay? So let's see what we got. Let's see who's coming in. Okay, so we got 6 times for 6 recruits. Okay, obstacle course 45, 52, 48, 60, 50, and 57, and we need the median time. Okay, Jackie I see with C. Hey Jackie, welcome back. Okay, Milan, thank you. I see your answer of a D. Thank you for putting that into the chat. And again, as you guys are coming in and you're like, I think I know what it is, you know, put your answer down and put a question mark next to it. But if you have no idea where to start, again, put a question mark into the chat. All right, so let's take a look. The key part is we need the median time. Okay, so we need that median. So I got you, Jay. So since we're looking for median, we need to know what the median is. And this is what a lot of people screw up on. They always confuse the median and the mean. So if we're looking for the median, we're looking for the middle term of all these data. So that means we need to put our numbers in order from least to greatest. Well, the lowest one we got is a 45. Then we have a 48. We have 50, 52. So 45, 48, 50, 52, 57, then 60. So since we have an even number of numbers, what we're basically doing is we're counting towards the middle. So that means the number is going to be right smack in between 50 and 52. So what number is directly in between 50 and 52? Will be C, 51. Okay? So if you ever get stuck with 2 numbers and you're like, ooh, I don't remember how to do it, you could add those 2 numbers up, then divide by 2, because you want to have the middle of these 2 terms. So this right here will give you 102 divided by 2. How many 2's go into 10? That'll be 5. And how many 2's go into 2? That will be 1. Okay, so that's just another way of getting it down. Alright, so the key part is you had to, 1, put them in order, okay, from least to greatest, and then you're counting towards the middle. When you have this MED, the mid, kind of comes close to middle. All right? Okay? So that will be this one. Go ahead and take your screenshots because we're going to move on to the next one. All right? So now we have a group of 5 numbers, has a mean of 20. Ooh, this is a little different. If one number, the number 10, is removed from the set, what is the new mean of the remaining 4 numbers? Let's see what you guys can get before I dabble into it. I'm kind of curious about your thinking. Kind of curious about your thinking. So a group of 5 numbers have a mean of 20. If one number, if a 10 was removed from that set, what is the new mean of the remaining 4 numbers? All right. Thank you so much for sharing the live. I appreciate that. And also for the follows and just being here. I appreciate it. Because I know it's probably early in the day. I'm trying to catch the sun before it starts doing something funky. Okay, so what do you think? What do you think? All right, thank you for the heart meet. Appreciate it. So do you think it's A, B, C, or D? Okay, Kus, I see you. Hello, Lisa. Okay, Lisa, I gotcha. Misty, you don't know? Okay, thank you for your honesty. Appreciate you. Jackie, same thing. I appreciate you. People are like, I don't know what's happening. And that's good. I appreciate you saying that. Okay, Tika, appreciate you. Thanks for the heart. Okay, Mac, you're thinking it's B. I'm not sure what the symbol is. I think it's B. All right. Forgot how to get mean. All right, a little funny eye, got you. All right. So in order for us to get the mean, what we do is we have to add all 5 of the numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once we figure out all 5 of our numbers and we divide by how many numbers there are, and they told us that the mean is going to equal 20. Okay? We don't know what these 5 numbers are except for one. One of them is a 10. So if I need to figure out what my new mean would be, we already know what the old mean is, but then I have to figure out what's the sum of these numbers. So in order for me to do that, I need to think of the reverse. So I'm going to multiply the 5 by the 20. So it's basically my 5 numbers. I'm just going to write sum of 5 numbers. And that's going to equal 5 times 20, which is 100. Okay? So the sum of those 5 numbers is going to be 100. And what I did was, all I did was multiply 5 on both sides so I can get it out of this fraction form. Then I can just focus on the 5 numbers. Okay? And it's going to equal 5 times 20, gives me 100. Now, here's the thing. They're telling us that one of the numbers, a number 10, is being removed from this set. So that means amongst this set of 5 numbers, one of them was a 10. So if I have, so that means I have the sum of 4 numbers, okay, plus a 10 and that's going to equal the 100 because this 10 was part of those 5 numbers, right? But now we want to figure out what those 4 numbers are. So what do? If I was just solving like a regular equation, what I would do is I would subtract 10 from both sides. So now I have the sum of 4 numbers equal to 90. Because 100 minus 10, that gives me 90. All right, there you go, my little house thing. So since we don't know those unknown numbers, but they're saying, what is the new mean? Well, in order for me to figure out the mean, I have to divide by how many numbers I have in my data set, which is 4. So that means this 90, I need to divide by 4. So I could find the mean of these 4 numbers. So if I take a look, I have my 90 divided by 4. How many 4s can go into 9? Well, 2 of them. 9 minus 8, that gives me 1. Bring down my 0, so now we're looking at a 10. How many 4s can go into 10 without going over? Again, 2. So that gives me my 8. 10 minus 8, that gives me my 2. Once I got this, and I'm looking at a standardized test, I'm immediately going to my answer sheet because I know from the very beginning all of them are 2s. So then when I did the division the second time, I got another 2. So my answer has to be B. Okay? But if I want to finish this, I would put a decimal point. Whenever I put in the dividend, I put it also into the quotient. Then I add a 0. That means I can bring this 0 down to change that 2 into a 20. So now how many groups of 4 can go into 20? Exactly 5, with no remainders. Okay? Now, if you're in the classroom still, you're going to need to show your work. Okay? You need to show your work so people know where you probably need to tweak your thinking. But if you're taking a standardized test like the GED, the ASVAB, the Accuplacer, the TEAS test, SAT, ACT, whatever, they only care about did you pick A, B, C, or D. Okay? So as you go through it step by step, you can progress that way. All right? Okay. So let's try this one. Oops. Oh, I forgot I was using that. Okay, let's see if you can solve this one. And once you get your answer, go ahead and put it into the comments. Okay, so as you guys are coming in, we're breaking down concepts down. If you're like, oh my God, this is way too hard, walk through it. Okay, a lot of us, I try to walk through it step by step. And if you have questions, go ahead and ask. Okay, this is not a place of judgment. Okay, I particularly said that this is for 25 and plus. Anyone that's working on algebra. I also do online tutoring for grades 7th all the way up to adults. So if you're trying to go back to school, get your college algebra credit, or if you're knowing your kid is struggling and it's only like the 3rd day of school, trust me, I had 3 phone calls yesterday and that was the first day of school for Baltimore City. I'm like, dudes, it's the first day. I need a tutor. I'm like, okay. Okay, Misty, I see you. Dunn, I see you. Okay, thanks so much for the follows. There you go. Lisa, I see you to start. Okay. All right. Hey, Lynette, how are you? Okay, I see you in there. All right. You need to get this GED. Keep failing this math just by a few points. Let me ask you something a little funny. Are you skipping anything that involves graphs, system of equations, factoring, volume, surface area, or anything that's dealing with a straight line, like slope, any of those? Okay, Barbie, I thank you. Improper fraction, okay. MT, I see you. Okay. Oops. Hey Brenda, how are you? Good afternoon to you. Okay. Finish solving it. Okay. Right. Lisa. Second step I gave you. Mars, Speedy. Okay, my bad. I see you. Ooh, what is that? Is that Prezard? I want to say. Okay. Let's take it step by step. So, multiplication, dividing fraction, fractions or rows, problems like you're showing. Okay. Alright. So a problem like this is a 3-point question on the GED. Okay? Because if you skip any of those 3 or 4, especially the 4-point questions, anything dealing with slope, factoring, system of equations, you're not going to pass it. You're going to get as close as like 12 within 12, but we can't skip those. So, here we go. Now, we're trying to solve this. This is an inequality, our less than. When we solve inequalities, it's very similar to what you do for equations, but it has a twist at the end. So our goal is to get our variable by itself. Right now, we have this -5 that's in the way of this. So I know a lot of you guys said, okay, we can distribute the 3. We can do that. Okay, so we can distribute that 3 to everything inside the parenthesis, which will give us our 3x plus our 12, and then we can bring down our -5 less than -13. We can do that. So our goal is to get x by itself. But take a look. Right here, you have like terms. We can combine this, so you don't have to like, oh, let me add 5, and then, oh, let me subtract 12. Combine this, positive 12 plus a -5. Since I'm combining them, listen to how I'm saying it. Positive 12 plus a -5. This minus sign is acting as a negative for the 5. This plus sign is acting as a positive for the 12. Not the 3, the 12. So if you think of it this way, you have $12, you spent $5, that means you still have $7 left. So it will be a positive 7. You bring down your 3x, and then you bring down your less than -13. So now we're trying to get x by itself. There you guys, there you go. So that means this positive 7 needs to go to the opposite side. In order for me to bring it to the opposite side, I have to do its inverse. The inverse of positive is negative. So whatever I do to one side, I must do to the other. So positive 7 plus -7, that gives me a 0. I don't need to put the place value there for that 0 because I still have the 3x that's being represented on the left-hand side. Now, bringing down -13 plus -7, so that means I'm still going to be in the negative further down, which gives us a -20. So here's the question for you. Okay, there you go, Andy. Here's the question for you. Do I change the inequality sign? Do I flip that inequality sign? You have your GED on Friday? All right, Ebony, make sure you reach out to me. Please DM me. Okay, so I'm seeing no. I'm seeing a whole lot. I think that means no. We have no. We have no. Jackie have no. No, we don't. Only if you divide by a negative. Thank you, blue. Thank you, sky blue. Appreciate you. Chicken wine. Yeah, no. Okay, got a yes. I got a no, and I got a no, and I got a yes. Right. So here's the thing. This is where there's a small disconnect. Because we got a negative answer doesn't equate to us changing the direction of the inequality sign. It's what happened right here. All we did was subtract 7 on both sides. The only time that inequality changes, just like the sky blue said, is when we multiply or divide by a negative number. So that inequality sign is staying right where it is. Now we have 3x is less than negative 20. So what do we need to do? We need to do the inverse of 3x. 3x is 3 times x. The inverse, we're going to divide. And we're going to divide by 3. Because the goal is to get x by itself. So 3 divided by 3 gives me 1. In this case, 1x and x means the same thing. And we can keep it as a negative 20 over 3, or negative 20 thirds. We can keep it like that. But since we divide it by a positive number, that means our inequality sign will stay its direction. Okay, so our answer is going to be x is less than, okay, negative 20 thirds. Because if I do the division of this, it's going to give me a really long and really bad number. You'll know it if you try to divide it. Okay? So I like to keep it as exact as I can. I try not to round unless the direction says, give me the approximate answer. If they say approximate, that means they want the number rounded. Okay? And they'll tell you how many decimal places. But if they say the exact answer, you're leaving it as a fraction, even if it's improper. But sometimes in the exams, they keep it as improper. Okay? All right. There you go, Mr. Sachs. Thank you. All right. Hey, Cloudy. How are you? Hey, Big Al. How's life treating you, Cloudy? It's been a minute. All right. So, this was one way of doing it. And you know me. I like variety in life. I like a little bit of variety. So if we started off with 3 times x plus 4 minus 5 is less than negative 13. This was the original equation. Another way that you could approach this, I know, now all of a sudden the sun wants to come up, okay? I can isolate my multiplication that's happening here. So what I could do is add 5, do the inverse, add 5 on both sides. So negative 5 and plus 5 will give me a 0. And what comes down on the left-hand side is 3 times x plus 4 is less than negative 8. Okay. Some people will say, all right, well, what can I do next? Well, since 3 is being multiplied to this, you could do the distributive property, but it's not really necessary. What's the inverse of multiplication? It's division. Thank you, Misty. We can divide both sides by 3. 3 divided by 3, that gives me my 1, and 1 times anything is itself. So that means I can bring down, without the parenthesis, my x plus 4, and I have less than negative 8 thirds. So if I want to get x by itself, I need to move that positive 4 to the other side. So what do? The opposite of plus, which is minus. Now, These are going to cancel out to give me my 0. And notice, when I'm divided by a positive number, my inequality stayed exactly the same. But this is when everybody's like ready to have convulsions, because you see a fraction. But think of it. First off, we bring down our x. We bring down our less than. We keep that negative 8/3. Anytime we're trying to add or subtract a fraction with a whole number, okay? Anytime you're trying to combine a fraction with the whole number, we can make this whole number into a fraction without devaluing it by putting it over 1. But what's the key? We need to have a common denominator. So since this 1 is obviously not a 3, but we can make it into a 3. And how we can do that is by, where'd my pen go? Multiplying the denominator by 3. Whatever you do in the denominator, you also do in the numerator. So now you have negative 8/3 minus 4 times 3, which gives me 12. 1 times 3, that gives me 3. Now we have a common denominator. Okay? So now we have a negative 8 plus a negative 12. We're combining the numerators. So when we're combining, we're adding. So this minus sign is acting as a negative for that 12. So when you have two negatives and you're adding them, you're going to keep it negative with the 20, and you keep your denominators. You do not subtract your denominators. You worked hard to find the common denominator, so keep it. Then you have your x is less than negative 20/3. Okay. Alright, so you have options. Do whichever makes you feel comfortable. Okay, this one we isolated the multiplication and then we divide on both sides. Or if you feel comfortable doing the distribution on both sides, combining your like terms and then start isolating your variable, you can do that as well. The choice is yours. Okay? Alright. Okay. So Leo, do you see what happened now? I know. I know, it's a lot. It's a lot, but it's something that you need to do. If you want to get through that test, regardless of what it is, these are some of the things. And trust me, there is another way of doing it, but I don't want to kill you with it. Okay? Alright. So let's try something. Let's try this one, since we're stuck with inequalities for a little bit. Oops. Give this one a try. Okay? Give this one a try. So you did the second one? Okay. Yeah, some people do, and that's fine. Okay. Got it all the way through, MT. Let's see what you got. Let's see what everyone's got. Take your time, step by step. So for those that are new to my channel, well, welcome. Okay. My name is Audrey Codner. I'm the owner of Math by Audrey. I'm an online math tutor. I was a classroom teacher for 22 years, and I've been running my own online math tutoring business for now. This is year 7. Crazy, but loving every moment of it. So I come in here to kind of help break down concepts, so to build up your confidence a little bit. Because I notice a lot of people are starting to go back to school and you haven't seen a lot of this stuff since you were in high school. Or they're going back because they want to pass the ASVAB, the Accuplacer, the TEAS test, or maybe just to get your GED. Okay? So again, if you see something you're like, I don't even know where to start, it's best for you to just put a question mark in the comments versus, oh, this is too hard, I gotta go away with it. Because guess what? It's not gonna go away. Okay? It's not gonna go away. Just like when people go to the bar and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna go to the bar, I'm gonna drink and all that stuff, and you come home, guess what? The problem is still there. You gotta put your big girl panties on and just be able to address it right away. That's the only way you can get through life, guys. Alright? Alright. Well, thank you, a little funny. Appreciate you. Alright, let's take a look. So again, you can do this one of two ways. If you feel like doing the distributive property, alright, that's awesome. Okay, NT, I see you. So if we do the distributive property, boom and boom, that means negative 4 times x gives me negative 4x, and negative 4 times 7 gives me a negative 28. And I know for a fact people were like, I don't want to put my answer up because I think I'm wrong because I got a decimal. And that's perfectly fine because decimals and fractions are numbers as well. So we want to isolate our variable. So that means that negative 4x is going to stay right where it is. So what needs to move? We need to move this negative 28. Yes, I know people are saying, well, it's minus, but it's attached to the 28, so it's a negative. So in order for us to move it to the other side, we got to think of the inverse. So the inverse of minus is plus. Okay, so then we're going to bring down our negative 4x. Okay, and since we just added, that inequality sign is going to stay exactly the same, so that's greater than or equal to. And then we're going to add 8 and 2, that gives me 10, carry the 1. 4 and 2 gives me 6, plus that 1 gives me 7. Alright, there you go, Michelle, I see you, thank you. User, I see you as well. Okay, but there's one thing missing, Michelle. What's the one thing missing? Alright, so now we want to isolate our x. So what needs to go this time? That negative 4. So negative 4 times x, we have to do the inverse of multiplication. How do I know it's multiplication? Because in between the 4 and the x, I don't see a plus or a minus sign. So the inverse of multiplication is division. So we're going to divide not just the 4, but the negative 4. So when we divide by negative 4 divided by negative 4, that gives me 1x, or I can just simply say x. And then we have 70 over negative 4. Well, I'm going to write it as improper for right now, but we are going to do something else with this. And here's my thing. Thank you, Queen. Queen Pen, I see you. So since we divided by a negative number. So that means this inequality that is reading greater than or equal to has now switched to less than or equal to. Okay, yep. Okay. Okay. Yep, that's true. We could have changed. Oh, wait, hold on. No, because it didn't go from one side to the equation to the other. So just multiplying on this side, it's going to stay. Only when you go from one side to the other, that's when it changes directions. So like if I multiplied negative 4 on both sides, that's when I would change the direction of the inequality. Okay? Alright. So, if anything, Where will someone use this in daily life? There's a lot of situations. So here's my thing. You use it, but because someone took this information and put it into an equation so you can use it, that's how we're looking at the internet. That's how you're using your phone. Okay, you don't have to use the phone with the whole wire. I'm not sure how old you are, but years ago we used to have the receiver, and then we actually bought the extension of the receiver so we can be like going from the kitchen to the living room, and that'll be perfectly fine, because when we were younger we weren't allowed to have our own phones. So we had all that, designs and fashions. How do we get the pigmentation? How do we make sure that the dye is going to stay majority on the synthetic material that we're using, because our clothes is getting cheaper and cheaper. And it just seems like, if not that, designing of shoes, having the shoes, making sure you have certain paddings, insoles. A lot of people took the information, even the digital cameras that we have, my what do you call this thing? My document camera that I have, how to design your candles, how to arrange your businesses. It's a lot. And it's all depending on what you want to do in your career. So math is everything. If you ever notice, no matter where you go in the world, 2 times 2, 2 squared, and 2 plus 2 will still be 4. All right? Okay? But thank you for asking. I know a lot of people say it because you feel I'm not walking around saying, well, this plus this equals this. But when you do comparison shopping, you're doing the same thing. That's math too. When you're making the decision to stay on here, making the decision to write a comment, hey, that's math as well. Okay? Because you probably thought, should I, shouldn't I, should I? What happens if I say this? What happens if I say that? And trust me, a lot of people say the same thing. All right, so now let's reduce our fraction. So if anything, we have our 70 and we have our 4. So we could, if you want to, go ahead and divide. You can do that, but your answer is going to stay negative. Okay, your answer is definitely going to stay negative. So how many 4s go into 7? Just 1. Let me raise up. So 7 minus 4 gives me 3. Bring down my 0. So now how many 4s can go into 30? So that will be 7. That gives you your 28. Then you have your 2. Then I'm going to add my 0 into the dividend, as well as add my 0 into the quotient. Decimal point in 0. Change that 2 to a 20. How many groups of 4 can go into 20? That will be 5. Okay. So again, it would have been x is less than or equal to 17.5 or 17 and a half. All right. Okay. So let's do one graphing, because graphing, anyone taking their GED, ASVAB, this is a higher performing question. And they love to get at least one of these bad boys in here. So if I were to graph this, okay, so I'm just going to teach this part to you. Now, notice with the equation, it says x equals 5. Now with x equals 5, your kryptonite? No. Change that mindset. Okay? It's just giving you x equals 5. Anytime that we dealt with equations, it always dealt with our equation line, y equals mx plus b. Notice it gave you the x and it gives you the y's. The one thing that you need to know when it says x equals 5, my x values go left to right, my y values goes up and down. So it's a positive 5. Here's my origin, that's the 0. Okay, this is my 0, 0. So if I'm looking at positive 5, that means I'm going to the right 5 units. And I have my point. And notice that point is on the x-axis. So for something like this, I don't see any y's. It's supposed to be y equals. I don't see any y's. I only see the x. So that should be the clue to tell you that the line that you're going to draw is only going to cross the x-axis. Okay, so it's going to look something like this. It's going to be up and down, and it only crosses the x-axis. That's how you graph it. That's it. When it says x equals, that means it's only going to cross the x-axis. So this slope, that's a vertical slope. It's a vertical line. Vertical goes up and down. Horizon or horizontal goes left to right. So for the vertical line, that is a undefined slope. Okay? It's like if I just step off the ledge, I'm going to die. Okay? Don't want to do that. All right? But if we have a y equals, if I have a y equals, where is it going to go? Because remember the old phone? Exactly. Where is it going to cross for the y equals? Put that into the chat, please. Okay, so Misty, I see you. Okay, if it's y equals, where are you going to go? Okay, and if you're not sure, put a question mark in the chat. Okay, hey TCL, welcome back. Okay, the funny dude, upper right, good. Queen pen, got you. Okay, but not at the 5. It's switched up. But I think I know. There you go with the 4. All right, the question mark. Okay, horizontal. Yes. So, starting at my origin, and it says y equals 4. So there's no x. If there's no x, that means it's not crossing the x-axis at all. That means from the origin, I'm going up to 4. I could put my point right here. And that means I'm actually going to draw a horizontal line. Now the horizontal line, it's perfectly fine to have a horizontal line. That's called a zero slope. Okay? Horizontal line is a zero slope. Vertical line is an undefined slope. Okay? The top 4. There you go. Okay? Besides today, I usually come on, I'm trying to come on in the afternoons, but sometimes the sunlight doesn't work for me. I used to have a light and it just died on me, so you know, kids are just coming back to school, so I have to continue my budget. Not a problem, Ebony. I know you're going to do well with this. Okay, so that's the one thing. If you understand, if you look and you don't see an X, that means it's going to be a horizontal slope. If you only see an X, that means it's going to be a vertical undefined slope. Just knowing those little tidbits can help you out. Okay? I know, right? All right, so one last question, and then we are done for today. Okay, I only try to come on for about an hour, and we're creeping up on that. Are you ready for this one? You may like me still or might hate me forever. Either way, you'll get over it. Okay, simplify this. I'll give you time. Yes, I do one-to-one tutoring. Yes, I do. Doing exponential, I have tons of exponential stuff, all in my books, all in my resources. Okay, and also I do a lot of it for my tutoring sessions. Okay, this is what you're doing now. Okay, so notice there's no equal signs. Okay, there's no equal signs, so that means this is not an equation, this is an expression, and all expressions can be simplified. Okay, So that means you are using your famous saying to help simplify. Okay, so take your time. If you get it wrong, guess what? I'm here to correct and to tweak your thinking, and it's going to be okay. All right, no judgment here, just support. That's all I'm here for. Okay, there's only one true judge, and I ain't him. Okay, so Misty, all right. Hey B, how are you? Okay, blessings, welcome in. Manny, welcome in. Welcome in. Names, Bubbles, welcome in. Okay, so take your time with it, step by step. Don't look at it as one big problem. Okay, the one thing about math, we love to take a couple things at a time. Okay, Thoughtful Gem, thank you so much for the follow. Okay, thank you guys for joining in and following and tapping and gifts and all that. I'm not one of those people like, yeah, I gotta tap the screen. I want you to tap because you want to tap. Okay? I want TikTok to know that this is here. If you can share it, that would be amazing. But this is like the last question, but you never know. Someone might get into something here. But I definitely would love for you guys to follow so you know when I come live again. And then also I'm going to show you where I guess I saying too much. What's going on with the brain? I have my YT channel, which I'm going to give you what is the link to it. Okay, I have the YT channel and I also have my Stand Store that has all of my resources. Okay, so Brenda, I see you. All right, so let's take a gander, shall we? Now, let's take this step by step. Anytime they give you a fraction form, you can do the numerator or the denominator first. It doesn't matter. Okay, all right. Okay, Ebony, you got it. Relax, relax. Take it step at a time. Now, the first thing is we're going to be using what? Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. This is the part that gets a lot of people from left to right. Okay? So first thing that we're going to do is what's inside the parentheses. So I'm just going to rewrite. This is what I do. If I take too long, I am not sorry. This is just how I do things. Okay? So 2 plus a negative 6. Okay? This minus sign is acting as a negative for the 6, not the 2. Most of your signage is usually going to be to the left of the number. Okay? A lot of people think that this is a negative 2 and they got a positive 4 in here. But luckily you're being squared. So 2 plus a negative 6 gives us a negative 4. So your parentheses, that's done. Now we have our exponents. This is the next part that a lot of people get screwed up at. Okay? Where it says negative 3 squared. I can tell if you're using a calculator or if you're doing it by hand. Because if you're using a calculator and you just type in negative 3 squared, you're going to get a negative 9. Alright, don't believe me? Fine. Let me show you. I think. Maybe. Okay, we can turn it this way. So if I type in negative 3 squared without parentheses, notice I get a negative 9. Because you're telling the calculator, I want you to square the 3 and then tack on the negative. Okay? That's what's happening here. Because only the 3 is being squared. Now, if there was a parenthesis around the 3, you're going to get a positive 9. because they're saying this is negative 3 times negative 3. That's when it will be a positive 9. So since there is no parenthesis, and I'm going to raise it up so it gets less confusing. So since there's no parenthesis, just the 3 is being squared. So this is a negative 9 plus my 5. And we can't multiply the 5 and the negative 4 because we have to take care of the exponent. So negative 4 squared, that's the same as saying negative 4 times negative 4. That gives me 16. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to cover so you can focus. So what happens next? What's happening next? Okay, what's happening next? Yep. Thank you, JB. How are you? Okay, so yes, we're going to multiply. Queen pin. Good. Brenda, multiply. Beautiful. This is what I like to see. Okay, so we're multiplying the 5 and the 16. So that gives me 80. Okay, and then we bring down the negative 9. Okay, so now you have your 80, or your negative 9 plus 80, which is the same as saying you have $80 and you spent 9 of it, so that means you have 71. So your numerator, because it all depends on when you got here, your numerator of this expression turns out to be 71. That's your numerator. Okay. So if you want all the details of it, go ahead. Go ahead, do a quick little screenshot. Okay. So now we need to work the denominator. And I think covering things up tends to help, especially helps that brain to focus. So even if you have to put like a pen in the way or a pencil, if you have an extra one, put in the way so you can focus on what you need to focus on. Okay, that helps to keep the brain active and focus on what you're doing. So now we have the absolute value of negative 4 times 12 divided by negative 3 squared. So absolute values, the best thing about absolute values, it always equals a positive number. So the absolute value of negative 4 is a positive 4 without the absolute values. This came from here. So now we're going to multiply, or I can just use my bracket. Doing what's inside this bracket is 12 divided by negative 3. Well, that gives me a negative 4. And that negative 4, the second one, the negative 4 here, what we need to do is to square it. So negative 4 times negative 4, that gives me a positive 16. And now we have 16 times 4 gives me 24, so that gives me 64. So your denominator, we have 71 over 64. Okay? How did I get the negative 9? Oh. So how I got the negative 9, who is this? Brenda? Yep. So it's a negative 3 squared. Since there's no parentheses around the negative 3, the only thing that's being squared is the 3. So 3 squared, that's 3 times 3, that gives me the 9, and the negative comes down. Okay. Okay, how did the 12 go into 4? Go to 4. So 12 divided by negative 3, a positive divided by a negative is a negative. And 12 divided by 3 is 4. Sure. So absolute value of -4. Anytime you have an absolute value, let me explain that part. So if I had like a number line, and I'm here at 0, and let's say that this is 4 blocks away from my house, and this is 4 blocks away from my house in the opposite direction. So from my house to my friend uptown is going to be 4 blocks. From my house to my downtown friend is also 4 blocks. So the whole premise of having an absolute value is your distance away from 0. Even though you're going in the opposite direction, I'm still 4 blocks away from my friend's house. Okay? So that's why the absolute value of -4, is a +4. Okay? So then you have your 12 divided by -3, that gives me a -4. But this expression here was being squared. So just this -4 is being squared. So negative times negative gives me a positive, and 4 times 4 gives me 16. So now we got 4 times 16, because remember, that absolute value was being multiplied, that's what the dot means, okay, to this other bracket. So 4 times 16 gives me 64. Okay? So if my numerator was 71, and my denominator is 64, I don't think they have anything in common to reduce. Don't think so. Nope, because it can't go with 3s. Can't go... Definitely not 2s. Yep, so that will be it. With my 71. 71 64ths. Okay. TCL, how are you doing? Ebony, how are you doing? Okay. Can't be one more. I have to go and tutor. I like to kind of like prepare myself. So I do have to go and tutor. So this is what happens, because I used to go live in the morning, but then a lot of you guys I haven't seen in forever, you're popping up, which is great. It was understandable this time? Okay, got it, awesome. Okay, all right, so remember, taking things step by step. Now, as I said, I do online tutoring. If you're thinking about taking your test, like Ebony, if you're thinking about it and you just need like a refresher before you take your test, we can arrange that, okay? But also, if you guys go, and I'm going to flip this, okay? If you want to take a look at some of my previous videos here, all my lives, you can just go here, because I can't say it, okay? Go to this. If you want to, like, say, oh, Audrey, like, I just want to get some practice problems and I'm tired of using the same old from the book. I feel like I'm just memorizing the book. Well, I also have some practice problems here into my stand store. Let me see if this will act right now. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes TikTok's been acting kind of weird for me. All right. Well, thank you for following me. I got 51K. Look at that. All right. So if you go to my profile, you'll see Stand Store by Audrey. Ooh, got a disclaimer. Okay. What's the disclaimer? Okay. So if anything, you can also access my YT channel right here. But then I also have a free math checkup. So if most of the concepts that is going to be on the GED, the ASVAB, the Accuplacer, it's different concepts. There's a little bit of probability, a little bit of statistics, a little bit of geometry, okay? Just to see where you're at. You can actually go here, just click on that. Oh, thank you, Queen Pen. Just check on that, click on that, put your name and your email, and it will send directly to your email. I'm one of those people, I'm not going to harass you because that means I have time on my hands. I really don't have that much time on my hands. But if you want to look at all my digital math books, okay, I have a whole entire series called Algebra at Your Pace. It includes a video recording of me breaking down several concepts. And then you can take it individually, but as you keep scrolling, you'll see that I also have like groups, like some systems, like a startup kit. Here's my Math Confidence Startup Kit. You get volume 1, volume 2, and like a couple of the practice books. If you want to get the whole entire bundle, that means everything that I have plus video answer keys. That's what the complete ebook series is. And again, you can just click on it and it will take you right to the description, so it does not take you straight to a payment page. And then you can read to see if this is something that you want. And if you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Okay, so you get all the information, check to see what will work best for you, and then if you're ready, you just continue going on. Maybe my phone's acting crazy. Okay, and that's where you can go ahead and purchase. But again, if you're just like, yeah, I don't think I'm ready, I just wanted to read it, well, then you can just arrow back and it'll take you right back to where roughly you left off at. Okay, but if you just want the practice problems, okay, that's here. I have a practice book for the GED, and then I also have a practice book for the ASVAB, but people with the GED has been taking it as well, and they said that it was helpful to them because I was thinking more of the arithmetic reasoning, some more of the word problems was there. But then in order for you to like get access to the answer keys and actually have a video recording of me breaking down those access keys, I got you right here. Okay, so everything is here. Go ahead and scroll, take a look. We got flashcards, you know, galore, anything that you need. But if you want to buy it on the A, all you have to do is just scroll. Sorry, kind of going fast for everybody. Okay, you can scroll all the way down. If you want the physical books, you can get it off of the A. But if you also want one of my math notebooks, I also have math notebooks to help organize your notes. Okay, and remember, all of that came directly from my profile and the link just there. That's the only link I have. All right, everyone. Okay, you have a great rest of your day, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. All right, so please, if you do message me, tell me what test you're taking. Don't just say hi, because I will delete it automatically. Okay, because scammers are just too kind, I should say. Just tell me what test you're taking, what kind of assistance you're thinking you're in need of, and then we'll take it from there. All right, everyone, have an amazing day or amazing evening, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Bye now.